Good morning and welcome to United Life Center for Spiritual Living right here in Oklahoma City, America. Y'all can come by and see us right here on 3810
North Tulsa.
North Tulsa, thank you. Let's sing about our unlimited life.
Listen to me, children, do what I say. Life is unlimited.
We're going to sing that one more time.
Unlimited. Listen to me, children, do what I say. Life is unlimited. There's plenty of love and plenty of peace. We never feel lonely again. When we open our hearts, we see we're all the same. It's perfect for love is coming. Unlimited. Listen to the children, do what I say. Life is unlimited. Just one tiny seed starts a chain of life. Keeps us growing by leaps and by bounds. And freely we give of this life with our love. Life is more than enough to go round. Unlimited. Unlimited. Listen to the children, do what I say. Life is unlimited.
I didn't even check to see if this was on. Didn't even check, but it sounds like it's on.
Mic check.
Fantastic. Yay. Look at the mic check.
Mic check.
So Joan and David hooking us up this morning. I'm gonna stop calling this morning. One day I will. Today's clearly not it, but
It's afternoon.
good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Joan Ackley. Joan Ackley is our performer for the month of July.
Woo!
Say it one more time. The performer du jour.
Woo!
Yes, thank you. So this is our session flow. I may have, if you were here last week, you might have heard me say that one day we will have these printed out because I've learned Oklahomans really like to know what you're in for.
And we do.
Like
And
the
we
next
do.
hour, what are we doing? And not being from Oklahoma, like I don't come from the land of programs. The Centers for Spiritual Living that I've been a part of, like doesn't hand you a program unless there's like words to sing along or something that are not on the screen. So this is new for me. So I'm learning that there is value in giving y'all this is what we are doing for the next hour. And one day you'll have a piece of paper that says that, but today is not that day. Spirit will manifest whenever that occurs. So here's what we got going on. Many of you were here for the sound bath that we did at 12:30 on this side of the room. You heard the beautiful stylings of Joan Ackley sing Unlimited, which was our opening song. Next, we are going to speak our vision and mission together. I will tell you right now that if the vision and mission does not resonate with you, feel free not to speak it out loud. Feel free, we've got a leadership council meeting that I will be talking about, and you're welcome to show up and tell us how you feel about our vision and mission, or anything else that you'd like to share with the leadership. You are welcome to join us and do that. So after our vision and mission, prayer and meditation, Joan's still here. She's going to be leading our meditation song. Then Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen will be leading the prayer and meditation portion. Special music, Joan Ackley. I will speak on our monthly theme, Rolling on the Deep. This week's theme in particular is Breathe. It's Shark Week, so I had to wear the shark shirt. And then instead of, usually what happens is I pray after the talk. We're going to pray during Conscious Giving. This is our brand new way of doing things as of today. We'll see if we stick with it. That's what we're doing. Announcements, and then our closing song. So that's what's up for the next hour. All right, so this is the vision and mission that I talked to you about. If you feel so comfortable, I invite you to affirm our vision and mission with me. We are a loving, inclusive community, joyfully expressing spirit. We honor, celebrate, and support each individual's awakening to their spiritual magnificence. We empower each other to create happy, healthy, abundant lives. All right, and sometimes we do that through the gift of music, which we're about to do right now in honor of, today is Reverend Sue Ogden's birthday. She's turning 80 today, and she's got a whole goal of having 80 concerts for the month of, or for her year, or for her 80th year, 80 concerts.
In her 80th year.
Yes. So I'm so grateful that Joan chose this song in honor of Reverend Sue Ogden today.
This is one of her prettiest songs. Rest your weary mind. Be immersed in peace. I am within, without, in every breath you breathe. So breathe.
It's gonna get you.
The book is Your Invisible Power. It is by Ernest Holmes. The section is on the life that is within you. The life within you is God. Whatever is true of God is true of your life, since your life and the life of God are not two, but one. The enlightened have ever proclaimed this unity of good, this oneness of man with God. For this reason, many have spoken of this life within you as both personal and impersonal. Impersonal from the standpoint that it is universal, and personal from the standpoint that this universal life principle is personified in you. This life within you, being God, does not begin and it cannot end. Hence you are immortal and eternal. That is, you can never be less, but must forever be more yourself. As this life within you unfolds through your experience, through your gathering of knowledge and your accumulating of wisdom, evolution is the drawing out of the God principle already latent within you. It is this God principle within you which Jesus referred to when he said, "Before Abraham was, I am." And when he said to the one who passed from this life with him, "Today thou shalt be with me in paradise." That God within you, that is within you, is truth, beauty, harmony, and wholeness. Every apparent imperfection from which you suffer is a result of ignorance. I know, we all do. Because ignorance of the law excuses no one from its effects. It follows that the very power which has bound you, rightly understood and properly used, will produce freedom. The God within you is a unity and not a duality. The very fact that this unity is changeless, forever revealing itself to each, is why the God who is already within, even though he is harmonious and perfect, has ever appeared as the God we believe in. We might say that the God within, being infinite, appears to each one of us as the God who is believed in. And we worship the God whom we believe in, rather than the God who is. But there is nothing wrong about this, since the God who is believed in is, at all times, some part of the God who is. Therefore, whatever God you believe in, provided you believe that this God is already in you, must respond to you at the level of your belief. This is why it is done unto each other, unto each one of us, as we believe. The principle is infallible. The practice is what we make it. There is a great difference whether or not you believe God to be within you or outside you. For if the God is outside you, how are you going to reach this God, who, not being some part of you, must be separated from you? How can you hope to unite things which are different from each other? But the God who is already within you, being forever perfect and complete, needs no reunion with anyone, and you need no reunion with this God, because this God is already in your every act, your every thought, and every movement, in your every plan, purpose, and performance. The God within you creates every circumstance and situation you have ever experienced. You have called these circumstances and situations things in themselves, but they never have been. They have always been the fruition of your thought, and your thought has always been dominated by your belief in God. That is, ever since you've had self-conscious life. Ever since you've had self-conscious thought, you have, by your use of the law of liberty, created bondage. Not that bondage really existed, but the possibility of using freedom in a limited way existed. You really never bound freedom. You merely used it in a restricted way. The restriction was not in the principle, but in your use of it. There is a difference whether you believe in actual limitation or merely in a restricted use of freedom. If limitation were a thing in itself, you could not change it. But since it is merely an outline of experience, why not use your imagination to enlarge that experience? When you do this, you will find the life principle within you responds just as quickly to a broader outline. The old outline was imaginary only, never real. It was like the horizon, where the earth and sky appeared to meet. But as we travel toward this apparent dead end, we find that it disappears. Whatever you mentally see and spiritually comprehend, you may objectively experience. For the God within you is not limited to any one experience. It is the creator of all experience, even time limits. God's calling. As I was working on next week's talk, I ran across this piece which is a prayer to start the lesson. And I thought it starts well. Some of it's not my words, but I thought I would share it with you anyway. Let's become still. To become still is really to walk into a place of activity. For the mind is an active place. Did you ever thought about that? Your mind is like forever going. But when we say let us be still, we know and understand that it is a stillness for outer activity. That because we choose to, we may enter into the secret place of the Most High. A place in the mind of each of us that is reserved for this time of quietness, this time of prayer. This is important because it is here that we no longer sense and experience a sense of duality. It is here that we know and understand and accept that the Lord and our God is one. We have no false gods. We worship this God within us, this mind, this intelligence, this love, this joy. And as we enter into this experience, it enters into us. And our consciousness is changed. I shall arise and return to my Father, is what we're saying and what we're doing, leaving all of these places of unhappiness, of fear, of doubt, of illness, deliberately leaving those on the outside, for they cannot come into the secret place. To know that here the Father and I are one, to know that here the Father truly loves us and cares for us, that it is this great love that is forever, through all eternity, beckoning us on and upward into a greater realization of this truth. And this truth sets us free. There is only God. And for this time that we share together today, listening in prayer, listening to Casey's talk, listening and hearing and understanding the divine within, we give thanks and ask and know that the heart of each one here is open right now to receive that which they have need of understanding and love, to accept the wholeness, the allness, and completeness of God. So in this moment, we know the divine is right here where we are, in us, through us, and as us. And that as we accept this divinity, we know that the power that is God is flowing through each of us in this moment and every moment as we explore possibilities of life, experiencing and expanding our awareness of the God within, becoming the very best versions of ourselves that we can be. And so with a grateful heart, I say, thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, universe. And so I release my prayer into the law of God that just says yes. And we affirm it together by saying,
And so it is. Yes.
Watch out now.
Watch out, John.
All right, for this song, I've got together the Ackley family band.
Hands back together.
The band that-
Woo! The band.
This is our baby son, Derek.
Just a wee lad.
There you go.
Okay. In keeping with the theme, the monthly theme, this is a song by Daniel Nahmod, metaphor of a boy and his boat.
Are you ready? Everyone ready? One and two.
So much pushing and pulling, so much fighting and straining, so much laboring against waves of wind. I am tired, my arms are weary, back is body's aching, eyes are bleary. Think I'm finally ready to give in. I have struggled, I have cried, I have screamed inside about the kind of life I've tried to lead. Well, right now I think it's time, for the very first time, to lay down my body and mind and just be. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. Down the block or to the moon, around the world or just to my room. I can't say where I'm supposed to end up. I've resisted for so long, as if I could do no wrong, and it's never been quite good enough. It's a funny thing, I guess, prideful human saying yes, without knowing what I'm agreeing to. There's a simple fact I find, decisions never been mine. All I'll ever do is what I'm meant to do. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. It's a scary thing for sure, to lay down my oars, or pretending that I've ever been in charge. But it's scarier still to spend my strength and will, never even have a peaceful heart. So here goes the toughest thing, ironic don't you think? It's so hard and so easy all at once. It's not laziness, it's just the deepest kind of trust. I'm okay when all is said and done. We're okay when all is said and done. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. We'll just go where the ocean says to go. We'll just go where the ocean says to go. Thank you.
Family. Yes. So glad to have y'all.
Thank you.
Woo!
So I did not know. I think I learned this information after the fact. Abby, did you turn 11 last Sunday? Were you here on your birthday last Sunday?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm very okay. That makes me feel a little bit better because I was not here 2 weeks ago. I was here last week, but not the week before. And I was like, really? Abby, you and I have been hanging out. Fun fact, Abby, I'm sorry that I'm telling you this from the stage and we didn't have this conversation privately. But June 1st, I quoted you all over the place. You left me a note on my desk saying I should use this quote on a Sunday, and I did, but you weren't here, and none of the Ackleys were here that day. So, fun fact, if y'all want to see a talk that was fully inspired by Abby Ackley, who turned 11 2 weeks ago when I wasn't here to celebrate her, that's the place to watch it. So I'm grateful that y'all were here. Like the Ackleys have been such a foundational part of this organization that as we have moved through so many challenges, and this month in particular, as we've been speaking as a community about challenges with misappropriated funds, Joan said, I think she said something like, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And I was like, well, actually, doing the music for the month of July would be a great help for me to have to figure this out. And Joan and I work so well together. Like, I text her on Thursday, and I'm like, so we didn't talk about music. And Joan's like, all right, here's the songs, and here, just text me everything, emails me everything, and I do the best that I can to get the words up behind her. So I'm so grateful for her guests and for the Ackleys, the 3 generations of Ackleys serving in support of this organization. So our theme, as is said behind me, our theme is Breathe, It's Shark Week. And our annual theme for the year is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And I serve on the global themes team for the 2025 themes. 2026, we do these a year in advance. So last year I was on the global themes team, and as we were talking about this concept of rising higher, because 2024, our theme was a grand rising, and took it up a notch for 2025 by rising higher beyond our grand rising. But we also recognize the value and the importance of recognizing that with rising higher also comes with an element of depth. We didn't want to operate, we don't want the Centers for Spiritual Living to come off as this organization that represents toxic positivity. We recognize the impact of what happens when positivity is led with so much that it becomes toxic, that there isn't a recognition of the importance and the necessity of embracing our shadow, and recognizing that what comes with rising higher is also an experience of growing deeper. And we were also really intentional about the balance of it all. So that if 2025 was all about growing deeper, we're like, this is going to be a really depressing year. If we come and we lead with that theme and people are exploring their shadow side for 365 days, it's going to be a problem. So there was this intention of really leading with this concept of rising higher, growing deeper, and each theme corresponding to align with the balance. So last month we were in living color, it's a kind of rising higher theme, and this month is growing deeper. And as a senior minister, this is not new information for me. I knew I should even say, part of my resistance to embracing a identity as a minister is this recognition that whatever theme we're leading with is going to show up in my life whether I like it or not. And no part of me wanted to live this Breathe, It's Shark Week theme in my personal life this week. That was not what I wanted. But I didn't choose it. It was, I didn't open the global themes material on Sunday afternoon after our last week and say, okay, what am I in for this week? I just lived my life and paid attention to the fact that this is going to be the theme that I'm speaking on, and that this theme manifested in my life in a way that required my breath and my recognition of the shark nature of my week. So I'm just gonna I love right now this room that we're in. There's this dry erase board. There was an event that happened in here that I don't even know. Did you Curious Conversations? Did Curious Conversations do this? Okay.
Yeah, that was
so I don't know who did this, but there's a question on there. The last question under topic of the week says, "Does attire matter?" And when I got dressed today, to be honest, I got dressed real quick. I was like, I'm sure there's a shark shirt. And I'm pretty sure I wore that shark shirt twice this week. And I don't usually wear the same shirt twice in 1 week, but I'm like, it's Shark Day. I know exactly where that shirt is. I did not wash it. And church is in like an hour and a half. So like, I know either I gotta pick something else, or I'm gonna wear a shirt that I've worn twice this week, and there are stains all over here. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm in my Breathe, It's Shark Week. Part of it, like, I like the beachy vibe. I love that I don't have my shoes on. Somebody else mentioned when we started Sound Bath today, they said, should I take my shoes off? And I was like, oh, yes, let me take my shoes off. So it, like, put me in this, like, beachy vibe. And I was like, this is what we're on. Like, I've been breathing. It's Shark Week. Dirty shirt that I've been wearing for 3 days. This is my my prayer alarm that's going off in my pocket right now, because I set a prayer alarm for myself. In my breathing in Shark Week, I set 5 prayer alarms throughout the day to remind me to choose to pray. So I'm praying like 10, 15 minutes. We'll pray together. But I just kind of set them at random times a day, and it just went off right now. So in this experience of breathing throughout my week, it felt so good to get dressed this morning and to recognize that I get to show up in a way that feels authentic and vulnerable for me. That what it means for me to serve as your senior minister means that I live these principles. And what that means is I've been breathing this week. So this theme in particular was inspired by Alexi Pauline Gumbs' book called Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. And let me just say real quick, last week, I talked a lot about, last week's theme really was a lead with the impact that Black women have had in this country's shift towards inclusivity over the course of centuries, essentially. And what I said was that we're kind of in this era right now where I'm noticing this trend of Black women across the country just kind of like chill, like I said chilling, like living their best life. Like with all the things that are going on in the world right now, it is not our turn to be out in these streets. We're gonna live our best life regardless of what's going on. And there was a couple of follow-ups to that. One that Joan mentioned that I really wanted to highlight, just because I really wanted to honor and celebrate the fact that Joan said, it wasn't just the Black women, of course. There were hippies out in the streets doing this work. And my mind was on the material, but I appreciate the fact that Joan had an opportunity to highlight the fact that there are people of many identities that have been involved in this fight for inclusivity since we've identified this country as the land of the free and the home of the brave. That there have been a lot of people of many, many identities throughout human history that have participated in this shift of advocating for us to be who we say we are. And I appreciate that she said this. It was like the end of the service last week, so I just wanted to highlight my reverence, acknowledgement, celebration for people of all identities who have actively participated throughout centuries in ensuring that we are who we say we are. And also, I got a message from somebody in the community identifying two Black women that they were saying these Black women are not chilling right now. They're actively working of transforming this country into being who we say we are, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And the two people who they identified were Representative Jasmine Crockett and Stacey Abrams, who are two Democratic women. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna bring up some Black women Democrats who are actively working towards a life of freedom in this country, who are the Black women Republicans? Let me Google and find out if there are any. If there are any, and what their names are. I did not find any, and I'm not going to speak to that. But what I will say is that I was making an active effort at leading with inclusivity. So if I'm going to bring up these two Democrats' names, if there were some Black women on the Republican side anywhere in the country, I didn't find them through Google search. Doesn't mean they're not there, but maybe the way that my Google algorithm is aligned, Google didn't show me. So let me just say, I'm not saying definitively that there are no Black women Republicans in office anywhere in the United States. There maybe is the mayor of some small town. I have no idea. I'm just trying to be clear that inclusivity is important to me. So I checked, and that's all I got for you. It was going to require everything I was looking at was like 1854. I was like, that's not helpful. So I was looking for something contemporary, and the Democrat Republican ideologies have flip-flopped so much throughout American history. I was like, I'm not well-versed or educated enough to figure this out, so just gonna be honest. Breathe in, it's Shark Week. Just being honest. So I just wanted to address that from last week and thank everybody for bringing everything they brought to our attention. And so this context, the content is inspired by this book in particular, Undrowned, by Alexi Pauline Gumbs. And there's a section in the book, this whole concept of Breathe in Shark Week. As you may notice, the book is called Lessons from Marine Mammals. Sharks are not mammals. So she has a section in the book, one of the recommended readings for today, included a conversation she has with a tiger shark about being included in this book that's about mammals and how sharks are not mammals. And the section was about how we have all of these perceptions of sharks, that they're associated with terror and something to be afraid of, as opposed to all of the ways that sharks support our ecological cycle. That there are all kinds of things that they do that contribute to their environments that we never really talk about when we talk about sharks. So in her imaginary conversation with the tiger shark says at the end of their conversation, "May you please soon outgrow those limits that do nothing to protect you." And at the time, I told y'all last week that I put together the outline for Sunday in the minutes before Sunday began. This week, I put the outline together on Thursday. And when I put this outline together, I knew I had no idea what I was going to be talking about, but my intuition, because this is how I operate, I let my intuition lead. And my intuition led me to putting an outline together, knowing that I had no idea what the topic will be, just knowing that these are the quotes that I will need as I speak on whatever it is that I'll speak on. So the event occurred on Friday that gave me clarity as to what it is that I'm speaking about today. So it was really nice that these quotes really drove my perspective of how to respond, how to feel, what to do, and what to say to y'all on Sunday about this experience. So I'm going to go back a little bit. You know, this quote is about limits. This quote is about limits. And I mentioned earlier today that my resistance to serving as a senior minister came with this recognition of living the themes, whether I consciously choose to live them or not. Whether I'm aware of the fact of what the themes are, that this is what happens. That being a minister means that whatever you're speaking on, you get to really live to understand. And what drove me to ministerial school was never to be a minister. What drove me to ministerial school was the education. So as I took classes in ministerial school, when they came with grades, I didn't care about that. I wasn't in the class for the grades. It didn't matter to me what my GPA would have been when I graduated. I wasn't in there for that. I was there for education, not for a number, not for someone else to tell me that I did it the best, that I did it right, that it was done to meet somebody else's satisfactions and standards. My entire experience of spirituality has only been for me. And what really drove me to spirituality was life going the way that I didn't like. And I was looking for answers. I was looking for clarity. I was looking for spiritual community. And I found it through the Centers for Spiritual Living. And the first Center for Spiritual Living that I discovered in Chicago was the first place I was introduced to it. It gave me the faith that I needed to move to Los Angeles and trust that I would survive. And I found another center, the Global Truth Center in Los Angeles, is the place where I went to ministerial school. So both the Bodhi Center in Chicago, the Bodhi Center no longer exists, and the Global Truth Center ended up moving to Westlake, California, and is no longer in Los Angeles. But I'm bringing up these two centers because both of them are no longer affiliated with the Centers for Spiritual Living. I was in both organizations that I was a part of did not like the way that the organization ran. Had both of my primary teachers in this movement have been people who do not agree with what has been occurring with the Centers for Spiritual Living. We call it home office, the leadership, the central leadership. There was a lack of agreement. And my education was rooted in teachers who did not align with the teachings of the global organization. Well, I should say the policies and the procedures of the global organization. It was never about the philosophy. It's always been about the policy and the procedures. So while I was in ministerial school, that center, technically the affiliation completed. Disaffiliation, they resigned from the Centers for Spiritual Living a year after I graduated. And it had a lot to do with what was happening in my minister class at the time. I started ministerial school in 2014. And that was the same year that the education requirements for the Centers for Spiritual Living changed. Actually, it was the year after. It changed in 2013. But the ministerial class started in 2014. And the center where I was a part of, the Global Truth Center in California, did not agree with the shift, with the change of the education. And my teacher believed that he would be able to work out an agreement with the people who made the decisions and the way that he chose to run his minister class. So while I was in ministerial school, he was active in conversations with the organization around coming to a level of agreement of the way that he was teaching being what aligned with what the direction of the organization was going in. And they didn't come to an agreement. So that center disaffiliated. So when I graduated ministerial school, my minister license was not recognized by the Centers for Spiritual Living. And I said, that's okay. I wasn't trying to be a pulpit minister anyway. I don't care about these grades anyway. I'm only here for me. So whatever this organization recognizes or whether they don't, has nothing to do with me. I'm gonna do what I do. And Centers for Spiritual Living across the Southern California area started calling me the day that I graduated. I booked my very first speaking, and I wasn't trying to book nothing. I was really only in this panel for the purposes of my own education. I didn't call anybody and say, hey, just graduated from ministerial school, I'm looking for opportunities to speak. I never said that. All that happened was that centers around Southern California just started calling, and I'm like, where did you get my number? Who is telling people that this is the thing I want to do? Because this is not anything I've communicated to anybody. So it wasn't even like a goal. It wasn't a desire. And it's so funny because what we teach here is that your thoughts create your reality, and consciously, no part of me was trying to be a minister. So the fact that my reality was manifesting opportunities for ministry, and I'm like, what is this? This is not a thing I'm trying to do. I didn't see that coming. So I didn't really know what to do with the fact that the organization that I got my education from did not recognize me as a minister. I had no idea what to do. They did recognize me as a practitioner because my practitioner license had been secured before all of this disconnection had occurred. So my practitioner's license was valid, but I couldn't keep my practitioner's license at a center that was no longer a Center for Spiritual Living. It had to be held at a Center for Spiritual Living for it to be valid. So I called up my center in Chicago, and I was like, hey, Chicago, will you hold my license for me? And maybe we'll figure something out. I'll do something to fulfill my license. And this is how my organization, Spirit Uncensored, got accidentally founded. Where I called Chicago and said, hey, what do you need for me to hold my license? And they're like, why don't you do something monthly in LA? So, something. And I was like, okay, I'll do something monthly. And then I ended up with a whole spiritual center that I was not trying to create. 65 people, a full band, sound technicians, teenagers showing up and saying, will you take us to teen camp? And I'm like, what is this? I'm just looking for a place to hold my license. Not trying to be anybody's senior minister right now. So this whole experience of ministry was just manifested without any this is a thing, this is not even a thing I want. In fact, I've been emphatic about the fact that I don't care about this, that my homework is not for grades. I don't know why this community is here. I don't know why people are calling me and asking me to speak. I'm over here trying to live my best life as a TV executive. This is why I went to ministerial school, was to learn how to become a TV executive. I did not go here to be anybody's minister. What is happening? So I was in a state of confusion for a bit, to be manifesting a life I didn't want. That the teaching that I'm a part of says, if you don't want it, something in your thinking has created it. The fact that my subconscious is so strong that it's created an entire experience of spiritual community that I've never come close to consciously creating for myself was very confusing. I'm in a program designed to teach me how to use my conscious life to create the life that I want. And that worked too. The life I wanted was the life of an executive at Viola Davis's production company. That was my dream. And then I had a spiritual community and I didn't know what to do with managing both these things at once. For both my dream coming true and this other thing that I never imagined all of a sudden here. So these limitations, these limits, came from not knowing what to do, not knowing who I am, not knowing what to do, the fact that I just woke up and there's a ministry right here. There's a spiritual community that is looking to me for leadership and guidance and support and all of those things. So I was not concerned about the fact that the Centers for Spiritual Living did not recognize me. I had other things going on. My ministry was occurring with or without them, and that was just what was going on. And one day, about 4 years ago, 2 weeks before I blew up my life and moved to Oklahoma, actually it was like a good I would say 2 months before I got the inspiration to blow up my life and move to Oklahoma. Centers for Spiritual Living Home Office reached out to me and said, "We're sorry. We know that you were caught up in all these things." Oh, actually, let me just say one more thing, because I told you about the Bodhi thing. So, license at Bodhi. I say, "Hey, Bodhi, will you hold my practitioner license?" And they're like, "Yeah, we will. Start your monthly thing." My monthly thing took a whole other direction that I didn't anticipate. And at that time, whoever was running the Centers for Spiritual Living was like, "Why are you trying to hold their license?" And strongly recommended that they don't hold my practitioner license. And the people who were leading ministry at that time did not like the way the Centers for Spiritual Living spoke about me. That they felt like this organization was not operating on principle, and that experience inspired them to disaffiliate and leave the Centers for Spiritual Living. So I'm finding myself in contention with this organization that I'm not trying to be in contention with. I'm here for my education, and that's it. I'm here to learn these principles, live them, and ministerial school was my way to submerge myself in learning these principles. So I found myself in a contentious relationship with this organization that I didn't choose. The ministers who I'd been associated with were in contention, and they're the ones who taught my classes. The classes that I took, they were the ones teaching me, and they were in contention with this organization. And as a result, I was in contention with this organization, whether it was my beliefs, feelings, ideas about them or not. So, getting back to what I was saying before, when the organization called me and said, "Hey, we're sorry that you went through this. We're cleaning things up. We're doing things differently. We would love for you to affiliate with the Centers for Spiritual Living. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out the path to affiliation." So from that moment in the conversation, 2 weeks before I got here, I had my panel for affiliation. And the affiliation committee decided that I was eligible to serve as a Center for Spiritual Living minister. So I officially became a minister through the Centers for Spiritual Living 2 weeks before I arrived here. And there was one center that I was aware of that was meeting in person, and that was the United Life Center for Spiritual Living. So I knew, again, same situation with my practitioner's license. Now that I had a CSL minister license, that license needed to go somewhere. And that license comes with all kinds of requirements to keep it active, to keep it valid. One of those requirements is for that license to be held at a Center for Spiritual Living. So when I walked in here and I heard Spirit tell me to offer my services as assistant minister, part of that came from knowing that I needed a license somewhere, and that serving as an assistant minister in a Center for Spiritual Living community would give me an opportunity to check that box, fulfill that expectation and that requirement of me. So saying all this to say that I have never moved through my 9 years of ministry by checking any boxes, by getting any A's, by doing anything right, correctly, meeting somebody's expectations of what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. So on Friday, I got a call from home office, and they said that the Ministers' Council has decided that my ordination will be deferred for a year, and that they are recommending a mentor for me to work with. And I said, I have so many mentors. My schedule, my calendar, filled with mentors and prayer partners. This feels like a slap in the face. I've devoted 9 years of service to this organization. And usually the way that ordination works is that a brand new minister needs to have been a minister for 3 years to qualify for ordination. My first 5 years of this organization did not count. So the last 3 years have been the reports that I've been turning in that have demonstrated what I've been doing, speaking to what I've been doing. And the way that I fill out my reports and packets and ordination application is authentically. I don't do it to get the answer right. I'm not thinking about what's the minister council going to be thinking about my answers. You ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you don't like the truth and you feel like I need this person to mentor me for another year, then that's who you are. That's what you believe. I recognize that I could have gotten the recommendation that is expected of me by answering the questions correctly. But I'm not about to do that. I operate from outside of the limits that protect me. I didn't choose to be a Centers for Spiritual Living minister so that I can get some kind of seal of approval. Being ordained means that there are things in this not being ordained means that there are things in this organization I cannot do. And what that means is I'm not meant to do those things right now. That when I live and teach the principles, that everything is unfolding perfectly. What that means is I need a year to spend time with somebody from the Ministers' Council for us to, that would have never happened under any other circumstance. This woman would have never consciously just decided that she wanted to mentor me, and I would have never chosen her out of the ministers and practitioners. And I love that you're laughing at me, Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen, but I actually want to be super clear that I would have never chosen her, while also I have a great amount of admiration and respect for her. I don't know her like that. We've never been in the same center before. We've never served on the same team together. I've never been consistently in the same spaces with this woman where I looked at her and I was like, you know what? I would love for you to serve as a mentor for me. But I've witnessed, paid attention to the things that she's been doing. We've been Facebook friends for years. I have a lot of respect for her. So to be assigned this woman as my mentor, I would have never consciously chosen it. But Spirit clearly identified that this is a relationship that we need. That I need to push some boundaries in the Ministers' Council that need to be pushed. And I need to learn some things about the way the Ministers' Council operates, clearly, over the course of the next year. So that's what I'm going to do. So Ernest Holmes, who our founder of this organization, said, you exist so that the divine feeling, fire, imagination, and creativity may be expressed through you. The Spirit comes to you with a new and fresh creativity. That is how I lead. It is how I operate. And it is fully coloring outside the boxes and lines of ministry, of Centers for Spiritual Living, of spirituality. I operate with feeling, fire, and imagination. And it feels so good to me to know that I'm doing that. It feels so good to me that as the Centers for Spiritual Living has decided that my fire, my feeling, my imagination doesn't align with ordination at this moment in time, that's okay. That this is what it means to be in community. Is that I'm not going to make everybody happy. That my experience of creativity, of imagination, of fire might burn you. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to burn you. I'm in it for me. I'm not here for the grade. I'm not here for the certification. I'm not here for your permission to be in your room. I'm not here to remind you to turn your phones off, obviously. Because clearly we didn't do that. Derek Ackley talked about being foundational in the center. Derek used to start every morning, when we were in the morning, set your phones to stun. Nobody's saying that, so our phones are not set to stun. They're vibrant, they're expressing themselves freely. Because I'm not telling you, I'm not. This is space for you to be who you are. This is space for you to forget to turn your phone on silent. This is space for you to kick your shoes off or leave them on. This is a space for you to be who you are, and I'm grateful and so comforted by the fact that I get to serve in leadership of a spiritual community where I can show up unshowered in a shirt I've worn 2 other times this week with stains on it, and I'm about to lead a leadership council meeting and feel comfortable. This is what I came here for. And I get people who make decisions, like I said, this question of does attire matter? I'm from an organization that really does say it is very inappropriate for you to show up on a Sunday unshowered and tell people that you're unshowered, to point out the stains on the shirt that you've worn 2 other times. They don't need to know that. That's the history of where we come from. Yep. But I'm pushing beyond these limits. I'm leading with feeling fire and imagination, and I'm proud of it. So, Sonia Renee Taylor, this book, I love, I just quote this title all the time. Anybody says, I'm sorry for whatever, for farting, for sneezing, for doing the things that our bodies do that make us embarrassed. I always say, your body is not an apology. So, Sonia Renee Taylor said in that book, radical self-love is not an impossibility, is your inherent sense of self. So, I understand, as I've been on my own journey of radical self-love, I have come to understand how we choose a life of conformity because it is most comfortable, to check the boxes, to get the answers right, to get the certification that we need. We've got to show up in a clean shirt and not admit that we haven't showered today. Like that's the expectation of what it means to do something correctly, to do something right. And what I've learned from radical self-love is to let it be okay that sometimes my intuition is inspiring me to do something that's going to make the people in this committee feel like I'm not operating in alignment with who we are as an organization. That's going to make somebody in this community feel like I'm not representing the Centers for Spiritual Living professionally. And I fully respect each person who believes that. Because what our tagline for our organization is creating a world that works for everyone. And that includes me. That includes the way that I show up. And despite the fact that it may make so many people uncomfortable in our organization, that who I am authentically can make so many people uncomfortable in our organization, I get to recognize that I've been empowered to do that. That Spirit has created a perfect, I want to call it storm, but it isn't a storm. I would say perfect equation for me to be who I am authentically, to show up in this community in Oklahoma City, show up in the larger community of the Centers for Spiritual Living, and be who I am, to lead with authenticity, to lead with self-love, and to let it be okay that we don't all agree with each other, that what it means to co-create a world that works for everyone means that we are not always agreeing, means that the ways that we push boundaries of pre-existing committees is part of the divine flow. And my responsibility is not to judge that. It's not for my ego to say, I've been here for 9 years, really? 3 times as much years of experience as the vast majority of people going through the ordination experience. But what I do know, and this is why I gave y'all some context, my teachers were people who did not agree with the leadership of the Centers for Spiritual Living. I haven't had teachers who fully stand for the policies and the procedures. So I can recognize that in my own education, I don't have a lot of education within the ways that the policies and procedures have been developed, identified, and created to be able to serve as the representation that they're looking for. And as somebody that pushes against boundaries, I get to recognize that I made a conscious decision. I could have checked the boxes and answer the questions the way that they wanted me to answer. I chose to operate from this way, knowing that that the consequence would be something like this, an expectation of mentorship from somebody in the Ministers' Council for a year before they determined my readiness. That's okay. That's okay. That is what creating a world that works for everyone looks like. And it was nice to come to that conclusion on my own. I appreciate that. All right, so the people who put this material together this week, Reverend Chris Ashley and Louise Talon, after they quoted Sonia Renee Taylor, I got this directly from the material, they said, to live a life of radical self-love means we must question all the ways we have learned to hide ourselves, to not trust our intuition, to fear others, because that is what we have been told to do. That is how I live my life. I deal with the fact that the consequences of me being authentic, that my decision not to hide myself from my community, from my organization, comes with this realization that trusting my intuition and choosing to lead with inclusivity, to recognize temptations, to judge people who disagree with me, and to recognize that every single moment that I am tempted to judge somebody because they disagree with me serves as an invitation for me to recognize that all is unfolding perfectly, and there's something for me to look at, something that I need to heal. So even though I wouldn't have chosen to move through this path consciously in this way, Spirit already knows what it's doing. I'm always going to be exactly where I need to be. So I'm going to end with, and Joan, because I was writing this on Thursday, this is a song, and normally I would be like, Joan, can we learn this song in 2 days? But like I said, breathe, sharp week. I'm going to try and do that to either one of us. So if any of you are feeling so inspired, I recommend that you check this song out.
I was listening to it on the way here.
You were listening to it on the way here.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Heather.
That's right.
Can you sing it for me?
All right. So this song, it was playing as I was putting this together. So apparently, the powers that be that are in charge of streaming things are just making this come through. This song really struck with me in 2020 in my moment of shift to living a life of authenticity. Up until 2020, I did not live a life of authenticity. And if somebody who knew me very well in 2019 would not say that, they would totally not agree that 2019 me was not authentic. Like people, you don't know what's inside somebody's mind, right? Like I know it wasn't authentic to me, but because of who I am already, pushed so many other people's edges, that 2019 me is what playing small looked like. And 2020 me made everybody uncomfortable. My whole world, my whole family, everything. When I say I blew my life up and moved to Oklahoma, I say blew my life up because the people in my life are like, what is happening? On my way onto that move. They're like, who are you? What is going on? And it really started with, a lot of things. But I had a moment I created a personal ritual for myself to signify the embracing of my authentic self. 2020 helped me recognize I wasn't living authentically. A lot of it had to do with the conversation that we were having about race as a country during that time. Another lot of it had to do with the fact that I was locked in my house for a full year. So in 2020, while these things were kind of going on at their peak, I created this personal ritual for myself. And the way that this was my first time doing a personal ritual. The way that I did it is I let Spirit lead. I kind of created like a list of activities that I might do so that I had a smorgasbord of choices when the day came for my personal ritual practice. And when I woke up that morning, the person I was married to at the time had made hard-boiled eggs. And so they were brown hard-boiled eggs. And like I said, doing some big racial healing here. And the fact that I'm mixed race and the eggs were brown on the outside and white on the inside, while I'm going through my own thing was like a whole thing. So seeing these brown eggs, I'm like, yep, using these eggs for my ritual. And I wrote the qualities that I was ready to release on the egg in a Sharpie and played this song on repeat as I literally broke the shell of the egg and like did this libation ceremony. If you were here for the installation ceremony, we did a libation ceremony. So did this libations ritual around breaking the shell. So this line was playing as I was putting this material together. In the RE says, life's gonna hurt, but it's meant to be felt. You cannot touch the sky from inside yourself. You cannot fly until you break the shell. This whole concept of rising higher, growing deeper, this is what we did. Breathe, it's Shark Week. We've been there, we've done there. Been there, done that. Breathing has occurred. And now is the time to break the shell. I told you all this story, one, because I think it's important for those of you who are new here to kind of understand the presence of the Centers for Spiritual Living in regards to our general organization. Like, though we're one of the few, there's I would say like 3 to 5 Centers for Spiritual Living organizations certified or I don't even know what to call it, but like recognized CSLs around 5 in the state under my understanding that I think it's important to have that context and also this experience of Reverend Sue Ellen Descontin. What did you say? What's your numbers? 3? Yeah, 325, that counts. Did you count Spirit Uncensored?
No, I did not.
All right, so it's in there. Spirit Uncensored doesn't really operate here, but like has, so I don't know. That's what I'm saying, 3 to 5. Who knows? There could be some other, focus ministry somebody has. But, I thought that context was important. And also, this concept of moving from breathe, it's Shark Week, and rolling in the deep, growing deeper, that there's a rising higher that comes along with it, taking this full circle of every single challenge that we experience really serves as an invitation for us to really break out of the limits that have been put on us, put them into action, and walk through the world uncomfortable. I'm telling you this story to make it very clear that it's not comfortable, that breaking the shell, learning how to fly is not easy. It is not comfortable. It hurts. You will likely fall. People will laugh at you while you've fallen. And that experience of being laughed at after you've tried and failed, no fun. So to get up and do it again, to fly again, to recognize that every single challenge is an invitation for growth, for healing, for flying, that was the intention. And what I would love to do is I would love for us to celebrate and honor this organization together by moving into conscious giving. I'm switching this up a little bit. Usually I speak a prayer after the talk, and as I spoke about the misappropriated funds, one of the things I've learned from this experience is the necessity of being very intentional around celebrating and honoring the ways that you all participate in financial giving. So I'm moving the prayer from after our talk to conscious giving. So what I would love to do, just like the vision and mission, is invite you to speak this affirmation with me. And if it doesn't resonate with you, come talk to me later. I live in abundance. I am filled with abundance. I give from abundance, and it transforms my life. And we've got this handy dandy new ways of giving, because this is what comes along with more responsible financial stewardship, is making it easier for you to donate. So instead of, if you're somebody who doesn't have cash in your pocket, if you don't have cash in your pocket, you're more than welcome to bless the plate with your energy. We would absolutely love that. But to give you a nice little handy QR code, where if electronic giving is more convenient for you, I know it is for me, that you can just snap this QR code and it'll take you straight to our website. Or we have this text to give option, where if you set up text to give one time, all you do is text the number that you're giving, and it'll ask you some questions like for the card and all that stuff. But once your phone number is connected with it, it never asks you all those questions again. So you can continue to contribute to this organization easily and effortlessly by texting a number to this number right here, however much it is that you are feeling inspired and inclined to give. And then it happens easily and effortlessly. So Mary Lee, have you gone to everybody?
I haven't made it to the Ackleys.
Okay, so when Mary Lee, when the Ackleys complete their blessing of the plate, I am going to invite you to bless these gifts along with me. All of the gifts, not just the financial gifts, but all of the gifts. Like I said, we're just moving the prayer.
Okay, it's been to everybody.
We're being a little more encompassing. So, as the plate has arrived, I invite us to take a moment to get comfortable in this space. In this place that we are so blessed to be able to congregate in. Yeah, Joan, come on up. Thank you. Get a little guitar going for us. In this space that we are blessed to congregate in, as this space was not always available to us. Spirit identified that Project 3810 was the right place for us to serve in spiritual community, to participate in spiritual community. That our presence here has brought Connecting Through Rhythm into the space. It's brought Canon Church into the space. It's bringing ecstatic dance into the space. And that each and every donation that has been given here contributes to our ability to show up, to provide a spiritual experience where each one of us is invited to participate in our own understanding of what it means to rise higher and grow deeper. Whereas we actively and consciously participate in the financial health of this organization, we are consciously and actively participating in our own financial health. And I'm so grateful to be reminded of the importance of honoring and recognizing that. And I'm incredibly grateful for each person who has shown up here today, whether they have given energy in the plate, whether it showed up as money, whether it showed up as love, whether it showed up as introducing themselves to somebody new within the community. I'm grateful that each one of us was inspired to show up, grateful to trust and know that whatever lessons learned, wisdom gained is necessary from this day, from participating in this moment, is being received, and that our community is transformed as a result of it, that the world is transformed as a result of it, that we are each creating a world that works for everyone by being willing to push outside the limits. Let people be mad if they're mad, and be who we are, showing up authentically as the divine expressions of love and light that we are. So grateful for who we are, for how we show up, and the shift taking place in our community as a result of all of it. And in gratitude, I invite us all to affirm this, however we so choose in closing prayer. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. So I don't have a shell song, but I do have, after you get out of your shell, your spirit will rise.
Do you want to do that now? Or do you want to do it at the end?
Oh, I thought this was the end. Oh,
No, we just got announcements. You can hang out with me here.
Okay,
Let me play
okay.
some guitar. And we have a leadership council meeting.
Drumstick.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Yes. So I mentioned this at the top, that our leadership council meeting is happening today. And though everybody is always welcome to join our leadership council meetings. As a nonprofit, they've got to be open. We're not hiding anything from anyone. We also recognize you may not want to be there. So we are doing the best we can to make this meeting in particular accessible for everyone as we are making some decisions around what to do with the misappropriated funds. So if you have thoughts, if you have opinions, if you want to know what it is that we're doing, we are going to be discussing that topic at the very top of our leadership council meeting. And this meeting is being streamed on Zoom. You can join it in Zoom, pop on, ask some questions, put something in the chat. You're welcome to participate. And that meeting will be streamed the entire time. So you can stay on if you want to learn more about what we got going on beyond that decision, or you can hop on for that part and hop right off. You do you. But that's happening live in person in the conference room on the other side of the kitchen there at 3 p.m. You're welcome to join, and you can join us online or not join at all. And if you have opinions, try and catch me in between this meeting. That if you have opinions but don't want to come, feel free to catch me, pull me to the side, and tell me what they are. Send me an email, revkctaylor@unitedlife.org, if you have something you want to say but don't want to have a conversation to my face. And if you want to have a secret conversation, you can even write it on a piece of paper. This is my thought. Put it in the box before you go. So those are all options available to you before we make these official decisions on our next steps. This book study. So I've been announcing this book study, and it keeps being moved. Spirit do what it does, right? Like the first 2 times that we met, we've got about, at this point, I would say we've got about 6 people registered for the book study, and none of them showed up 2 times in a row. And the second time, everybody showed up like a half an hour late. So I was like, well, whatever. Like, I wasn't going to wait for like maybe one person to show up a half an hour late, but like a bunch of them showed up a half an hour late. So what we have ultimately decided to do is push it back 1 more week. So if you have not yet registered for the book study and you're like, you know what, this sounds really interesting to me, and if you are learning about this book study for the first time, there's information about it on the classes and events portion of our website at unitedlife.org. So feel free to join us if you are feeling so inspired, and know that reading the book is not at all required. If you are somebody who is interested in engaging in discussion around, I would say, healing what we were taught in schools about hierarchy, racial hierarchy, and releasing that old information to operate from a place of inclusivity, this is a great way to do it. So you're welcome to join whether you are reading the book or not. And as always, What's Up and Why? My cousin and I host a show on the New Thought Media Network. It's live streamed on Facebook and YouTube on all things New Thought Media Network on Thursdays at noon. Oh, it does say that. Thursdays at noon. You can find me and my cousin on the internet. So I think now we are officially closing, Joan. You are
All right.
rising your spirit.
Knowing I'm the wind and I am the ocean, I'm growing like a ripple in the tide. Now that I have set my life in motion, I have no destination but the ride. I begin to each time I awaken. I awaken every time I know what to do. There's a grounding sleep of faith I've taken. It's simply that my spirit, so are you. Now I feel like I am ascending from the deepest part of me. Joy is standing never ending. Take me high, watch me fly, spirit rise, spirit rise, spirit rise. Deep inside my heart, a voice is calling. And it says I can go farther than before. Giving love without a fear of falling. And my love return 1,000 times or more. We are part of magnificent design, constantly changing. Everyone and everything around us is divine, here I sing, taking wing, spirit rise, spirit rise, spirit rise. I begin to each time I awaken. I awaken every time I know what's true. There's a flowing stream of faith I've taken. It's